Hey, what's up, my friends? Raul Lopez Jr. here. Hey, I wanted to tell you a story about emotions and the importance of understanding and expressing them. Many of you already know I wrote a book. It's called Heal the Boy and the Man Will Appear. Learn the importance of understanding and expressing your emotions. I wish I had a copy here. I'd show you. You can find it on Amazon, Barnes and Nobles. It's called Heal the Boy and the Man Will Appear. The importance of understanding and expressing your emotions. And what I want to tell you is a funny story about when I was in my late 20s, how I first started to understand and get interested in learning about my emotions and expressing them, and how it was such a release of pressure and energy that I had held in for so many years, a lot of pain and anger that I'd held in for so many years. But it's funny enough, I learned it from 3 and 4-year-old kids. I used to drop my daughter off at daycare every morning, and this daycare was pretty awesome. It had a two-way mirror. So after you drop them off, you can go and you can come anytime and you could watch through the two-way mirror. So the daycare workers didn't even know if you were watching or not. So it was just a way of, I don't know, security, I guess you can call it. You knew that there was always somebody watching the kids and making sure everything was okay. I loved having it there. My daughter, who's full grown now, at the time was about 3 years old, somewhere between 3 and 4. She attended the school, so I'd drop her off every morning. And one day, the first time I'd ever seen her express her emotions and how it calmed her down was just amazing to me. And I call this story, I'm actually writing a kid's book about it, so don't take the idea or the story. It's called Syrup on Her Pancakes. And that's the title, Syrup on Her Pancakes. And why? Because it's how the whole thing started. My daughter was very young. She doesn't like syrup on her pancakes. She didn't at the time. I don't know what she does now. And there was a new daycare person who was feeding them breakfast in the morning. And they gave her a little baby pancake. And she put syrup on it. And she handed it to her. She slid it over to her on the table where she was sitting. And my daughter started to cry. And she looked at the pancake and she started to cry. And the daycare worker didn't know why she was crying. So she just asked her. She said, "What's the matter? Why are you crying?" And at first my daughter didn't answer. She was upset. She was 3 years old and she was crying. And the daycare person, I think, recognized and kind of looked at the situation and recognized when she had slid her the pancake. She said, you don't like pancakes?" And my daughter wasn't saying much. And then she said, "What's the matter, Christina? You need to tell me." My daughter's name is Christina. She said, "You need to tell me." And my daughter looked and she said, she kind of pointed at her pancakes. And the teacher said, "Do you like pancakes?" And my daughter said, "Yes." She kind of shook her head. And then she said, "Then what's the matter?" And my daughter kind of pointed at the pancakes again. And she said, "You don't like syrup? Do you like syrup on your pancakes?" And she said, "No." And then she said, "I don't like syrup on my pancakes." And she's crying and huffing and puffing and the whole thing, 3-year-old. And so the teacher says, "Oh, I see." And the teacher explained to her why she was upset. And it was amazing to watch how my daughter started to calm. She says, "Oh, so you're crying right now and you're upset because you got syrup on your pancakes and you don't like syrup on your pancakes." And my daughter kind of just looked at her and took a breath and calmed down. And she said, "Yes, I don't like syrup on my pancakes." So the teacher said, "Okay, I'm going to get you new pancakes. And then everything will be okay, right?" And my daughter said, "Yeah." And she started to smile, like, "Yeah, if you give me new pancakes, everything will be okay." So they brought her a new pancake. She liked applesauce on her pancakes. They put applesauce on her pancakes. They had it to her, and she was fine. And as I was watching this, I realized, I go, wow, this teacher walked her through what was happening, was teaching her how to express herself. What is wrong? What is wrong? Why are you crying? Why are you upset? And when my daughter was able to articulate it and explain it, and just even say it at that young age, it calmed her down. She released the energy of that emotion, and it was fine. It was done. She got her pancakes with applesauce, and she ate it. And it was I remember watching and just being like, wow, that's really cool how they did that. But I didn't catch on at that point yet to the fact that she was releasing the energy of her emotions. So, not too long after that, I was dropping her off again in the morning at school, and there was a little boy, and he got out of the car with his mom, and he was screaming and crying, and he didn't want to go into the class. And she said, "What's the matter?" She was a little bit said, "What's the matter? Stop crying." And he looked up at her, and he started to explain to her what was going on. He said, "Mom, I don't feel well. I didn't want to get up this morning. This guy's 3, maybe 4 years old, a little tiny boy, cute little guy. Mom, I'm upset. I didn't want to get up this morning. I don't feel well, and that's why I'm crying right now. And she was shocked just as much as I was. I looked and I said, this little boy just explained how he's feeling at his young age so that we could understand. And his mom looked at him, and she looked down, and she started to talk to him and say, oh, you don't feel well? Are you sure? And she went through it, and he continued to talk and speak. I don't remember everything that he said. This was 20 plus years ago. But it was, for me, an understanding of expressing. Again, this little boy was expressing his emotions. And I was just like, wow, that was really cool how these little kids are talking about how they feel. Angry, sadness, upset. They're using these words. I'm angry. I'm upset. I didn't want to do this. I don't like this. I don't like that. Whatever it was, right? They were able to express it. And the parent was able to understand it and assess whether it was valid and move forward with the child. But the child released what they were holding, the energy, the emotion they were carrying, and they calmed down. And I thought it was so amazing. And it really, in my late 20s, at that time, I had just come out of a whole wild past. Look at my book, Heal the Boy and the Man Will Appear. You'll see the story. I just figured out that you can express these emotions, get these things out, and what a release it is. So I started practicing telling my story. Funny, this is what I do for a living now. But I started practicing telling my story, sharing it with other people. And it was such a release for me. I started writing, I started speaking, and it was such a release for me. It changed my life and many others because I help people through sharing my story. Now, the last one that happened as far as emotions and how they're transferable. Check this out. This is amazing. I hope you're still watching this video because it's really important about emotions. A lot of it can do with mental health, with anger issues, with just frustrations, with dis-ease, disease, how we hold in this tension and it makes us physically sick. But another thing I learned from that same school from my baby girl is how we transfer emotions. And another time I'm dropping her off, and usually when I would drop her off, she would cry. She would always cry. And I would feel so bad, and I'd hug her, and I'd tell her I loved her, and I'd try to calm her down and get her started playing before I'd leave. And one day the teacher walks up to me, and she says, Raul, do you know why she cries every day when you leave? And I just looked at her and I said, because I'm leaving. She doesn't want me to go. And she said, no, that's not why. She said, every day when you leave, you look so sad. You look so sad. You're down. You look like you want to cry. And she sees you. And you make her feel bad. She feels bad because you feel bad. And I was like, what? And she said, yeah, you should see your face right now when you're kissing her goodbye. She said, you look so sad. And it transfers to her, and then she feels bad and she starts to cry. She goes, watch this. Tomorrow, when you leave here, you be all excited and happy and leave her like it's going to be a wonderful day and everything is great. And say, bye, baby, I love you. And I said, okay, I'll try that tomorrow. So the next day I did that, and guess what? She didn't cry. She did not cry. She ran off and played, and she had a great day from that on because I started practicing that. So emotions, understanding and expressing your emotions are a powerful thing in this life. Teach you to understand, teach your children to understand, and your whole life will change. Add a little gratitude in there, and your life will definitely change. This video is a bit long, but it's important stuff. I hope you watch this whole thing. If you did, share it with somebody because it's important. And tell me about your experiences with emotions and energy. I'd love to hear it. Enjoy the day.